welcome to Power Breakfast, an initiative part of Investonomics and ICICI Direct. On the show today, we have with us Mr. Ravi Chawla, MD and CEO of Gulf Oil India. Morning, Ravi. Thanks for joining us. Ravi, to start with, it's been a good quarter for Gulf Oil. At least in the face of it, top line has been significant. You've managed to post record-breaking revenue of over 500 crores this time.
Yes, this quarter four was definitely a good quarter in terms of volume growths, the revenue growths. As you rightly said, a record 517 crores, which also equals the annual revenue for the year at 1650 crores. So one of the things that definitely went right for us is the momentum of quarter two, quarter three in terms of volume gains, market share gains continued, and I think that has been very heartwarming for us as a team. Gulf has always been doing 2 to 3 times the market growth rate. So I guess in a way, this kind of caps it up in a very, very difficult and challenging year where we saw so many challenges. And for us, it was not only the COVID, the demand, the various segments that we play in, we had challenges. We also had a cost increase, which was unprecedented in, starting with October, November, which we had to manage. So I think that the volumes, revenues certainly were very heartwarming and very encouraging for us. But the challenge of the cost, we could still manage with a 15% EBITDA, which is I would say we would like it to be better, but definitely this has been a quarter which has been quite fulfilling.
Right. Ravi, how sustainable is this sort of revenue growth going to be for the rest of the year? Of course, this time saw pick up because of the efforts that the company had undertaken this last 2 quarters. But is this sort of growth sustainable going ahead?
See, the biggest challenge has been the market closing, which has happened due to COVID. I think last year we saw that it was literally a 10-month year, or you could say a 9.5 month year. So we managed to pull in the same volumes we did the year before. Our industry has been actually, if you take 1920, maybe a 5% degrowth because of various segments. But last year we could say the industry degrew double digit in terms of consumption. Again, when I talk about the industry, I talk about the segments that Gulf is in. We are in the automotive industrial segments. We're not in the white oils or process oils, transformer oils. So if you look at the market, which probably degrew double digit, Gulf has managed to get the same volume. So we've been actually our segment wise strategy, our I would say definitely we had a supply chain strength which helped us in the initial months. We supplied to the agri segments. So our demand sensing and the way we have gone about the market, the team motivation, we have actually taken care of our people a lot in the year. We've had no structural change there, but kept them motivated, focused on our segments, and we are very confident. Like we've grown in the past decade for more than the industry, we will continue. But the biggest challenge is going to be the market closure, which obviously is a concern even now as we look at the present situation. So I think given this challenge, we are pretty confident that next year again it will be a year where we can grow, again subject to how soon the markets can open up.
I'm glad you bring that up because that's actually my next question. We've been seeing about 2 months of this quarter already with nationwide lockdown of some sort. Of course, it's not as widespread and intense like it was in the first wave. But break that down for me, segment-wise. What sort of impact are you already seeing, and how far do you think we are from going back to pre-COVID levels in terms of demand, specifically for lubricants? I know other verticals have chipped in this time around, but going ahead, what is sort of internal expectations you're working with?
So if you look at the industry first, because it's always good to get the industry perspective and then look at where Gulf is. You are right. The if you talk about pre-COVID levels, you talk of February 2019. March was impacted. So we were happy to see that the pre-COVID level demand, in a way, 9 months had returned to the industry. For Gulf also, it grew, so it was better for Gulf. But industry came back, and I think when you look at the industry going forward, definitely if GDP is going to grow 7-8%. There are estimates being, obviously today's paper also said that some of the estimates are being relooked at. The agri sector is going to do well again with a monsoon, which is going to be normal, as we have seen again in today's newspaper. You saw the Met Department clearly. So if you look at GDP growth of even the 7-8%, the lubricant industry will grow 2-3%. And given that the bases are lower, whether there are OEMs or the replacement or industrial or infrastructure, whichever segment you take where lubricants gets used, definitely the positive industry growth will help us, because we've always looked at Gulf growing 2 to 3 times that. And the biggest challenge is going to be market closure. As you rightly said, this April May is slightly different from last year, and we have learnt it. Last year there was a complete close down in April, and this year has been phased out. There has been a clear improvement in demand this April May versus last year, in spite of the challenges of the market. Obviously, some states safety is of utmost importance today, and we will not do anything unsafe, but plants are operating, warehouses are operating in most locations. And I would say demand sector last year, for example, agriculture did very well in April May,
Right.
but we are seeing this time that industrial lubricants also have done well. In fact, I would say at a good level in April and May. We'll have to wait till the quarter results, because unlike automobile companies, we don't have figures which come in the industry. So whatever we are gauging today, improved conditions, market have been partially open in certain states. We are also seeing now some relaxation. Of course, we have to be very safe and follow the rules. Definitely a pickup in personal mobility, which happened last year in, say, May, June, will take slightly longer. But agriculture, industrial, and even we are seeing the OEM business side, the franchisee workshops, they are operating in certain geographies. So these are some good things that I think this April May offers, and we have to be always optimistic to look at the glass half full and see how we can do that. Of course, utmost safety for our people is of primary importance.
So it's fair to say that we could expect another solid sort of earnings, because operationally you're saying that not much has been impacted, especially with demand coming back from agri and industrial, right?
No, it has been impacted to the extent that the markets where what we call the bazaar trade, which
Yeah.
is the small shops which sell lubricants, that is like nearly 55% of our sales. That has been impacted because they are closed. So that market is still not at a normal level; it's much below. But the others, as you rightly said, agriculture, industrial, these are looking improved over last year. Not at 100% in the last 2 months, but definitely June we see, like last year also June came back. I must also add here that lubricants for us, 95% of our sales is replacement lubricants. That means if you have a car, bike, and a tractor and an industry, you would buy the lubricant. We're not looking about new vehicles or new engines. 95% of Gulf what we sell is replacement, and lubricants per se also is like a semi-essential product.
Right.
It's not like a essential food product. But if you look at the demand, and last year we saw that the pent up demand came back very strongly in June.
Hmm.
So hopefully if the markets open up, we could see that. But definitely a challenge this quarter, as we know the markets have been semi open and quite closed. In some states has been like 100% closure of retail. So some segments are doing well, some segments we'll have to wait and watch and see what happens in June.
So hopefully, fingers crossed, if the bazaars come back to business, which is what you'll gradually start seeing, we will potentially see the impact post this quarter, right? Because then all of the whole funnel sort of then picks up.
Yeah, we
Uh,
are hopeful. We are hopeful in June itself, as
okay.
we see. But you're absolutely right that then you have to do a makeup in the next nine
Yeah.
months.
Catch up. Yeah. Well, okay. I want to talk to you about margins, right, Ravi? That's been the big talking point for you this quarter. Raw material costs have been on the rise. I know last year there was this whole cost optimization that was playing out for India Inc., which probably sort of cushioned your margins to quite a great extent. What is the margin outlook? I've read some of your notes, so you said 16 to 18% should be maintained. But give me a sense of internally what are you working with in terms of further increase of raw material costs, and how does the company look to absorb that right now?
You see, we lubricants are made from something called base oils, which is a derivative of crude. So as you put the crude into the refinery, you would get obviously the aviation fuel. You would get different types of petrol, gas, diesel, and there's a technical cut of base oil which comes from the refinery. Now, what has happened since October is that because of aviation fuel being less in demand because of air travel, we've not been able to, that has gone down worldwide. Global refineries, and we buy from refineries all around the world and also in India, there has been a definite reduction in the supply side of base oils. So if you see that, that has caused quite a
Right.
significant increase in our base oil cost. Of course, it follows a sort of lag with crude, but this is something unique that has happened last year. And it started in October, November, and we have seen that gradually as we have stocks which have the old prices and all, we have put in about three prices in the B2C side and close to two prices in the B2B side in the last few months. So I think at the moment, the way base oil is looking, it's still there are some costs going up because it has a lag effect. But and some of our price increases take some time to come into fore because they are related to the stock in hand, the distributor stock, or the B2B has certain some formulas for pricing. So we are pretty sure that this if this remains steady, the base oil, we will be able to manage the margin expectation of 16 to 18, which we normally suggest. And last quarter was impacted to 15% because of obviously this lag time in getting the price increase. We have taken the price increases, so at the moment the challenge is going to be on demand, which is obviously going to be lower this quarter. But managing the 16 to 18%, we are looking at that definitely as something that would be possible.
We'll talk about that in a minute, but you talked about inventory, and I'm assuming there's quite a bit of low cost inventory that's possibly lying around too, right? Which will again be pushed, and those margins will be maintained, I'm assuming, despite no price hike. Fair to assume that?
Yeah, but our stock gets rolled in a month and a half. So if you look at what has been the and as I told you, the pace of increase this time has been quite high in the base oil cost, and even other costs go up. So I think that inventory is there. You're right; it averages, absolutely right on that. But as we look at it now, the new price increases have come. So I guess that rolls in, and it is an industry phenomena that most of the players go up. 80%, 90% move prices in sync based on the brand strength. So you're right, this will help. But last year we've also managed a lot of costs, which have been in a unique year. You have to keep your costs also very low. So I guess a balance of both will help us to get to the margin.
I'll talk about that in a minute because while it was very unique with raw material costs going up, your cost rationalization at a company level must have dropped. But how price sensitive is the market, Ravi? How easy will this price hike be? And when are you looking to push another price hike to the consumer, to the end consumer?
Well, we have already taken the three increases in B2C. So at this moment, there is no real thought of the price unless the costs go up again more significantly. And passing on the prices, you see, we have the bazaar market is generally a consumer driven market. So there again, people do understand there is some, we usually have some schemes which we pull back. So there we do have the price increase which flows through. The challenge is with the industrial customers, the OEMs, where there is a formula. So there again, it takes a bit longer. So that yeah, has to be sustained. And I guess in today's circumstances, you'll also have to manage your cost and your some of the overheads. So it's a balance of both. And usually the industry is passing on the cost. Even when the cost comes down, we do give benefits to the consumers. So that is something which is still I would say happening quite well in our industry.
Just to make this clear, at the current raw material cost and at the current prices, your margins will be maintained at 16 to 18%, right?
We will have to we always go for that band, and I think given the current situation, it looks like that margin is gettable.
Okay, that's great. And also, want to talk about cost rationalization. It was a unique year last year, and a large part of India Inc. managed to, sort of soften or rather maintain their margins largely because overhead costs were reduced. I mean, office spaces were not being consumed, rentals were dropping, salaries were probably taking a cut somewhere for some companies. That helped last year. But there's no real alpha coming out of that anymore, right? Because you've already priced that in all through the last three quarters. Any sort of improvement on cost rationalization that your company is looking at to maintain those margins? And more importantly, if not, once these costs start coming back in, how is that going to start affecting business when life does go back to pre-COVID?
Yeah, so you're right. If you look at the cost slate, travel stopped completely. Most
Right.
of us, we are like a part of our business is travel, FMCG type of business. We have distributors, we travel. So travel was a cost which last year, obviously, we didn't travel. So that this year is budgeted for because we expect to travel once that comes. So you're right. Some of the cost parameters happened last year. This year would be challenging. We have actually looked at every aspect of our cost, including supply chain. Manpower, we have the same strength. We believe our strength is our people. So we are not adding people, but we've kept the numbers, at the same levels. Certainly trying to get more productivity. And one of our significant expenses is advertising and promotion.
Yeah.
So we have been investing, 6% of our revenue in advertising. Last year in February, we are happy to share our internal track showed us that we have become the number two brand overall in terms of our brand consideration and our brand awareness. So February 2019 was good news that the Gulf brand has grown. So what I'm trying to say is the investments in advertising usually is above the line and below the line. So below the line again did not happen because of the travel restrictions. You can't have the activations. For example, you do service camps, you do have signages, you put up boards, you do a lot of below the line. So I think that was obviously curtailed last year, and our 6% normally which we do came down by a couple of percentages last year. Now this year we obviously want to invest in our brand. We already started something in March. We started a campaign in April with our IPL and our new motorcycle oils. We launched a campaign with Dhoni, where the younger Dhoni talks to the older Dhoni and talks about consistency, about a product benefit which we had. So I think we will continue to nurture the brand. The cost is again below the line activations. We'll have to see how we can pan it out. So that's an area we'll have to continue seeing how we can work on, and optimizing some of the costs like freight. We are working on those options also. Last year the supply chain really had to gear up fast, so we did actually make that a key mover for us, because that helps us to give the product in these challenges. So I think these are some of the areas we'll continue working, and certainly we will try to keep our cost like manpower, ANP will have to be obviously calibrated to keep these in better control and improve on the operational aspects on costs.
Right. What is your international market size like? I mean, do you export substantially?
Yeah, so one of the things is that our exports used to be very low single digit. Now they are slightly higher there. We are exporting to 20 countries
Wow.
our products with OEMs. So we have additional capacity in our Chennai plant. So exports are going on through Silvassa now because that's closer, but Chennai takes some of the load for the normal local production. So it's an area which we continue to look at, and we have the capacities. Also, Gulf has many plants across the world. So whichever plant can supply at a better cost wins the order. So we are looking at growth there, and it's continued. Even this month, we are looking at better exports because we had the opportunity exports markets. So that continues, and we it is part of our growth plans. So I think that that is an area which again will be looked at more closely given the situation here.
Right. So, how much would exports internally? How much are you expecting exports to contribute to? Is that going to be
It's very low now, single digits, hardly
okay?
2-3%. So I guess we can take it up by 1 or 2%. That's the way we would look at it, because we don't. We are catering to our capacities are used for the Indian markets, and these exports are more for OEMs and certain subsidiaries which require some products. So it will be in that range only.
Right. Also, I just want to talk to you a little bit about fuel economy because that's picking up quite a bit of traction, and I know you're sort of leading in the with being one of the top guys on the front. Any sort of significant investments that you're looking to make? Because I know the industry will have to sort of invest
Yeah,
quite largely in this 22-23 year, right?
Yeah, so you see, lubricants, when we make lubricants, they are developed with the OEMs. Now, the
Okay.
OEMs have the engine, and then they have to follow certain environment specifications, certain, as you said, the not only fuel economy, the emission norms. So, when BS6 happened, and we were ready for that because we have a global portfolio, the
Right.
lubricants that go into the engine, not only they give the emission levels, better, they give a low emission level which is required based on the fuel and the engine that goes into the vehicle. We also have lubricants which help to improve fuel economy.
Okay.
So you may have read about it. We've been part of that as an industry. We always promote better lubricants. So some of the lubricants, especially in the commercial vehicle space, we've been developing, which will not only meet these new emission norms, which are the BS6 norms, which has the NOx rates and other emissions which go out. It will also help in improving the fuel economy of the vehicle. So it's a small percentage. It's a small. It's even below 1% at times, but it just helps to create that better lubricant which can provide better emission and better fuel economy. So that has always been our endeavor, and we've been doing extensive tests with the global products we have in Indian conditions with Indian vehicles to actually deliver these kind of fuel economy. Of course, it is seen over a longer period of time. It doesn't come right away. So if you use a better lubricant, it will help your fuel economy.
Right. It's so good to talk to you, Mr. Chawla. Great to get that perspective. So things looking good. I'll hopefully start looking up soon for you and for India Inc., for all of us put together. But thank you very much for your time.